What's up guys, welcome back to another video. I know it's been a long time since the last one, but we're here looking at my 2024 predictions that I did way back when, before the season even started. We're looking at the winners this season, all 6 of them, and we're going to start off in 10th place in the Constructors. I put Haas after they fired Günther Steiner, but it was actually Kick Sauber, who almost did have a pointless season, but in the end got a whopping 4 from their season. So, of course, Zhou Guanyu and Valtteri Bottas. Bottas doing so well that he didn't even get in the top 20 drivers this season. And so, yes, 10th place I got wrong in that. 0 out of 10. Well, 0 out of 1 so far. And we're going to go on to 9th. I put Kick Sauber. I didn't see them really improving that much. And, well, yeah, because the season before they weren't that good. But it was actually going to be Williams, who have had a nightmare season, really. Scoring 17 points and finishing in P9 in the Constructors. Not a very good season. 3 different drivers. Logan Sargent, of course, causing lots of damage. Franco Colapinto probably also causing a lot of damage. And so did Alex Albon, really. Going on to 8th place, it was Alpine that I put after what looked like a shocking season was about to unfold in front of them. But actually, in 8th place, it was RB. RB collecting 46 points over the season with 3 different drivers as well, Ricciardo, Tsunoda and Lawson. Of course, an up and down season for RB. Finishing in 8th is probably not where they want to be, considering looking at the start of the season, they're ahead of Alpine easily. Alpine looking at the worst season ever for them. And Haas, who also didn't look to be amazing. But in 7th, I did put RB instead, and it was actually Haas instead. So Haas with 58 points, outscoring RB, and claiming that 7th place. I didn't put them that high up just because they fired Günther Steiner. The team didn't look very good, and we of course didn't know what the new team principal Ayao Komatsu could do. Going on to 6th place though, and it's a team that I put a lot of trust in and faith in, and it was Williams, who I put in 6th place. Of course, finishing down 9th. But it was Alpine who finished 6th, who I put earlier in 8th place. No faith at all in this team. Looking at the start of the season, I was right to. They were dead and buried in the first round, like out of Q1 immediately, bottom 2. But they pulled it back, Brazil. And 5th place, we're looking at Aston Martin. And of course, in 5th place, it was Aston Martin, the most mid-team, I think, ever. They were like 30 points ahead of Alpine and then like 400 points behind Mercedes. It's just, they had a mediocre season and not very good. 4th place though, and I put Ferrari. We're also out of 1 out of 10 now. But Ferrari, I don't know why I put them this low down, considering they have Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc. I just think I put them there because it was Mercedes who actually got 4th place. And, of course, they had a very good season compared to what they could have had at the start of the season. They, of course, getting 3 wins. And Hamilton and Russell performed very well this season. In 3rd place, I did put Mercedes. So, 468 points for Mercedes. Very good, but 3rd, it was Red Bull instead with 500 points, almost 600. And only getting 3rd place, a very bad season for Red Bull. 2nd place, I put McLaren, just because I had extra faith in McLaren this year. But it was Ferrari. Of course, I couldn't predict the downfall that Red Bull would have. But Ferrari, of course, making good use of it and having an amazing season. Getting Carlos Sainz wins and Charles Leclerc. Of course, Leclerc winning 2 very important races to him, Monaco and Monza. And Carlos Sainz also adding to the win tally in Mexico, but a very good year for Ferrari. 1st place, of course, I put Red Bull, and as I said, I can't predict the fall-off that they had, but instead it was a dominant McLaren that, maybe wasn't structurally correct, with some of the calls they made in terms of the Drivers' Championship, and but they got the job done, put in 1st place, had the best car throughout many times in this year, and did win on most occasions. Of course, getting Norris close to the championship in the title fight, but McLaren, of course, having an amazing year and will hope to build upon that next year, hopefully getting 1st place once more. So then looking at it, it's 1 out of 10 for the Constructors' Championships, and we're going to see what we can get out of 20 now for the Drivers' Championship. Let's go. 20th place, I put Zhou Guanyu, and it was Zhou Guanyu, so off to a flying start, unlike Kick Sauber this season, who finished last in the Constructors. Him getting all 4 points for that team and finishing 20th ahead of his teammate due to there being 24 drivers. 19th, I did put Kevin Magnussen. I thought the Haas team was going to be terrible. Of course, this one's obviously going to be wrong because it was Franco Colapinto, who was absolutely amazing this year. And, you know, considering he only came in at Zandvoort and he did really well, he got points, and he beat 5 other drivers on the grid, including 2 full-time that had been there the whole season. So, yeah, very good job from him. Hope to see him back on the grid soon. 18th, I put Hulkenberg, but it was actually his teammate for 2 rounds, and it was Oliver Bearman, who, yes, may have got half his points from a Ferrari stint at the start of the season, but also the 3 races he was given, he did extremely well, and of course he'll be on the grid with Haas next year, so it'll be interesting to see what he'll do next year. 17th place, I put Bottas, who didn't even get in the top 20, but it was Ricciardo in 17th. Of course, he did well, I guess, considering there's 24 drivers on the overall classifications for the Drivers' Championship, but, of course, dropped at Singapore. So, I don't know what he's going to do now, but also, overall, I said this guy could have got promoted, but he didn't. He got dropped. 16th place is the person I saw who could improve the most. It was Logan Sargent, but it was actually his teammate, Alex Albon. Albon, of course, beating both his teammates this year, getting 12 points for the Williams team, who only got 9 all season. Albon having an all-right season, but this, with Franco Colapinto, I think he did just stutter a bit with the season as it went on. 15th place, I put Lance Stroll. Of course, Lance Stroll not being a great driver, I don't rate him that much. Kevin Magnussen actually got 15th place in an improved Haas. Of course, missing a race as well, a few races due to a race ban, of course, in Baku, but doing very well to get into 15th. 14th, I put Yuki Tsunoda, but it was Esteban Ocon in 14th place, and it's all right for him, considering how bad I thought they were going to be at the start of the season. But, of course, 23 points, not beating his teammate, and getting beaten by his teammate by quite a bit. However, going into 13th place, I did put Esteban Ocon in at 13th. Of course, he was beaten by Sir Lance Stroll. Of course, he will be staying for next year, but again, just not a good season from Lance Stroll. Beaten by his teammate once more. Let's see, he got 24 points this season compared to Fernando Alonso getting 70. So again, completely destroyed by his teammate. 12th place, I did put Pierre Gasly. But it was actually his good friend Yuki Tsunoda finishing in 12th place. Of course, Yuki having a good season, beating both his teammates in the season. Ricciardo, of course, they both didn't have the whole season, considering Liam Lawson coming in at Singapore. He, of course, finishes, I think he finished 21st out of the 24. But yeah, so for 11th, I put Daniel Ricciardo. Of course, I had high hopes for him this year, but it was Nico Hulkenberg again in an improved Haas, 41 points, getting a lot of Q3 appearances and top 10s, proving critical for this Haas team, who get an extra lot of money in finishing in 7th, beating RB to that 7th place, but losing out to Alpine, which was a close fight. Hulkenberg having an amazing season once more and getting into Q3 many more times, moving next year. 10th place, I put Alex Albon. Of course, I thought this car was going to be improved, but it wasn't. And in 10th, it was actually Pierre Gasly, who, of course, starred for that Alpine team, saving them from that Brazil Grand Prix onwards. Of course, Ocon, losing to Ocon in the Brazilian Grand Prix, him getting 3rd, Ocon getting 2nd, but a very good season. And, of course, getting £0 in damage over the whole season. In 9th place, I put Fernando Alonso. And indeed, it was Fernando Alonso. That's our second one correct in our predictions. 70 points, as I said earlier, Fernando Alonso. A very good driver still. Is he outperforming the car, or is Lance Stroll underperforming? I don't know. I think Fernando is overperforming, considering he is there. 8th place, I put Carlos Sainz. But instead, it was Sergio Perez. Of course, with the Red Bull falling off Sergio Perez will, of course, lose his drive for next season. Liam Lawson in that Red Bull seat, but Sergio Perez starting strong, getting second place in the first 2 races, only to be seen maybe like once more and having a really bad season. Moving on though, and in 7th place I put George Russell, but he was beaten by his teammate Lewis Hamilton, who picked up 7th place, 223 points, and of course Hamilton dropping off in terms of qualifying performance, but coming back in those races, notably winning Spa and also his home Grand Prix, as you can see in the picture. That was a very good race for him, but overall a very decent season, and he can be happy leaving to Ferrari. 6th place I put Oscar Piastri, and it was actually George Russell. Russell, of course, could have had 2 wins this season in Spa, having been disqualified, but also winning in Austria after Verstappen and Norris collided. Very decent season from George Russell, of course, getting many podiums and also being his teammate once more. 5th place then, and I put Charles Leclerc, and it was actually Carlos Sainz, who had an excellent season, getting another 2 wins for the tally before leaving to join Williams. I put him down in 8th. This is probably one of the worst predictions from me. He won in Australia and in Mexico. Here's the picture of him winning in Mexico. But a really, really good season from Carlos Sainz, and, you know, leaving to Williams. 4th place, I put Lewis Hamilton. It was actually Oscar Piastri. Oscar Piastri, of course, having another good season, winning 2 races. Should it have been one? Maybe. Hungary, of course, a slight asterisk over that Grand Prix win. But again, as you can see, Piastri is improving every season so far, and he's got 292 points, beating Carlos Sainz by 2 points. 3rd place, I put Sergio Perez, but it was actually Charles Leclerc. Leclerc, once again, proving why he's Ferrari's main man, beating out his teammate by quite a few points, by over 50 points, and being in that title fight to get second in the end, but a very good season from Charles Leclerc, winning multiple races. 2nd place, I put Lando Norris, and it was indeed Lando Norris, of course. At one point, he could have won that championship, but it all went downhill going into the American stint of the calendar. Norris being consistent this year, getting many wins, getting his first one in Miami, then just progressing from there, getting many podiums, as you can see when in the last race as well, to get the Constructors' Championship. 1st place, I said it would be silly to predict against him. It was Max Verstappen, and he did indeed win the championship. At some point, it was crazy to think that Verstappen could even win this championship, due to the fact that he hadn't won since Spain until the Brazilian Grand Prix, and he was on the podium sometimes during that run, but of course Verstappen comes back and wins 2 of the last 4 races and seals that championship in Las Vegas, making it 4 championships and 4 out of 20 for my predictions. How do you think I did in my predictions? I think I did really badly this year. 1 out of 10 on the constructors, 4 out of 20 on the drivers. If you made your predictions, tell me what you got in the comments below, and make sure to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.